If God is all-powerful and all-good, he could stop a child from being abused right now. He doesn't. So either he can't stop it, or he won't. If he can't, he's not all-powerful. If he won't, he's not all-good. That's the problem of evil, and it's destroyed more faith than every atheist argument combined. I'm a Christian, and I'm not going to give you the easy answer here, because there isn't one. But I am going to show you why the atheist alternative requires more faith than Christianity does. Let's be honest. If you're a Christian, you've felt this tension. You've prayed for someone who didn't get healed. You've watched innocent people suffer for no clear reason. And you've wondered, God, if you're really good, why didn't you stop this? The atheist sees this and says, see? No loving God would allow this. Either he doesn't exist, or he's not worth worshiping. And look, I get it. That argument has weight. It deserves a real answer, not a Sunday school platitude. So here's what we need to understand. The problem of evil isn't just a Christian problem, it's a human problem. Every worldview has to explain why suffering exists and why it feels wrong. Christianity says, evil exists because humans have free will. We chose rebellion. The world is broken because we broke it. But here's the key. Christianity also says that brokenness isn't the end of the story. Now compare that to atheism. If there's no God, evil isn't actually evil. It's just molecules doing what molecules do. A lion hunting prey, that's nature. A human harming another human. That's also just nature. Same chemicals, same brain processes. But you don't believe that. When you hear about a child being trafficked, you don't think, well, that's just evolutionary behavior. You think, that is objectively wrong. That intuition, that moral horror requires an objective standard, and atheism can't give you one. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. If atheism is true, your outrage at evil is just a survival instinct. It's not pointing to anything real. It's your brain chemistry reacting to stimuli, useful for evolution, but not true in any ultimate sense. So, when the atheist uses the problem of evil to argue against God, they're smuggling in Christian assumptions. They're assuming evil is real. They're assuming suffering matters. They're assuming justice is something that should exist. But if atheism is true, none of those assumptions hold. The universe doesn't care about justice. It doesn't care about you. Now let's go back to Christianity. Does Christianity solve the problem of evil? Not completely. There are mysteries here. But it does something atheism can't. It gives you a framework where evil is real, suffering matters, and justice will be done. Christianity says, yes, the world is broken. Yes, people suffer. But that brokenness is temporary. God didn't create evil. He created beings with the freedom to choose. And freedom requires the possibility of choosing wrongly. Could God have made a world where no one ever chose evil? Sure. But that world wouldn't have free creatures. It would have robots. You'd never sin. You'd also never love, because love that's programmed isn't love, it's code. God wanted beings who could genuinely choose him. That required risk, and humans chose rebellion. But here's the part most people miss. God didn't just watch from a distance. He entered into the suffering himself. When Jesus hung on the cross, God experienced the full weight of human evil and suffering. He didn't exempt himself. The atheist says, a good God wouldn't allow suffering. Christianity says, he didn't just allow it, he endured it. And he did it to fix what we broke. The cross isn't God ignoring evil, it's God absorbing it. Now I know what you're thinking, okay? But that doesn't explain why God allows specific suffering right now. Why didn't he heal my mom? Why didn't he stop that tragedy? And honestly, I don't have a complete answer to that. The Bible doesn't give us a detailed theodicy for every individual case of suffering. But here's what it does give us. The promise that suffering isn't meaningless. That God is working even in the worst moments to bring about redemption. Romans 8:28 says, we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him. Not that all things are good, but that God can use even evil for good. Joseph's brothers sold him into slavery out of jealousy. Years later, Joseph says to them, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. God didn't cause their evil, but he redeemed it. That's the pattern throughout Scripture. The crucifixion was the greatest evil in human history, the execution of the sinless Son of God. That doesn't make the evil less evil, but it does mean that evil doesn't get the final word. Here's the ultimate difference between Christianity and atheism. On this question, atheism says suffering is meaningless. It's random. It's just particles in motion. There's no justice coming. When you pass away, it's over. Christianity says suffering is real, but it's not ultimate. Justice will be done. The broken will be made whole. Death is not the end. One of those worldviews lets you be angry at evil because evil is real. The other one can't even explain why you think evil exists. Ask yourself, which worldview actually fits the way you experience the world? When you cry out against injustice, are you just experiencing a chemical reaction, or are you recognizing something that truly violates the way things should be? If it's the latter, you're living like a Christian whether you realize it or not, because only Christianity can ground that intuition in reality. Now, does this answer every question about suffering? No. There are mysteries, there are tensions. I can't tell you exactly why God allows every specific instance of pain, but I can tell you this: the problem of evil is not a knockdown argument against God. It's actually evidence that points toward Him, because the fact that you even recognize evil as evil requires an objective standard. And that standard has to come from somewhere outside the material universe. The atheist sees suffering and says, "This proves there's no God." The Christian sees suffering and says, "This proves the world is broken exactly like the Bible said it would be, and God has already set in motion the plan to fix it." Pause for a second. Which worldview makes more sense to you? Comment below. I read every one. Now, here's the final piece. The question isn't whether suffering exists. The question is, can your worldview explain why it matters? Christianity says yes. Atheism says no. You can reject Christianity, but if you do, you'll need to explain why you still act like evil is real. Can you? New videos every week tackling questions like this. Subscribe if you want to think deeply, not just react emotionally.